Hey, it's Tyler. Just want to do a real quick impromptu video. I've been getting some really nice feedback on some of the videos I've been posting, and people have been asking, what's the best standard maybe to work on if you really want to get proficient in playing in 12 keys. So I think my vote is Donna Lee. It's got the most indicative kind of 2/5 motion, classic bebop, and the most opportunity for harmonic substitution without being overly complicated, and it's got some predictable movement. So yeah, I'll just play a chorus of the changes and then maybe talk through real quick what I'm thinking, and then do a couple different keys. So that was in C. What's the original tune? Concert A flat, maybe? So I'm doing it a little bit up tempo, partly because I don't want to spend a ton of time going through different keys, but I did want to talk about real basic stuff. So like some of my other videos, this is firmly rooted in the circle of fifths. So from the top, you've got tonic, so you start in 1, you go 6, dominant 2, and then it's just 2, 5, 1. Right? So you can really just pick any key. So regular key of Donna Lee is concert A flat. Let's say you want to do F sharp. Right? So start with 1, 6, dominant 2, and then 2, 5, 1. So in that way, you can really start working on these core chunks that are, I guess, that are related. Well, not related. They are the circle of fifths. So let me go back to the original key, concert A flat. So we're starting at the top, right? 1, 6, dominant 2, 2, 5, 1. Now here's that trick. It's going to go to 4. So all you have to do is make your major 1 into a dominant, or you can add a 2. So then you're at 4, and then you go down a fifth, which is really like a flat 7, dominant 7. Back up to 1, 6, dominant 2, 2, 5, 1. So you can see there's really only 2 things going on so far. It's 1, 6, 2, 5, 1, and then movement into 4 with a real quick flat 7 dominant as a bridge in between there. So that's like the first half of the tune, right? here's the second half of the tune. Back to 1, same thing, 6, dominant 2. Now here, you're going to go, instead of going to 4, you're going to go to the other classic movement in terms of destinations, which is 6. So in this case, you're on 2. And how do we get to 6? Well, we're going to 2-5. So, you know, in a major key, 6 is minor, so it's going to be a minor 2-5. So half diminished, fully altered, minor. And then from here, we're just going to kind of go use 6 as our temporary home base. So throw a 5, another 5 of 6, tritone, and then 3, 6, 2, 5, 1 in your original key. And there you go. So I guess I think, well, I would recommend Donna Lee as one of the greatest tunes to work on for this, because I think it's got pretty much everything we're looking for in terms of improvising musicians, rooted in the bebop tradition of a, you know, a classic standard tune. It's got 1, 6, 2, 5, 3, 6, 2, 5s. It's got movement to both 4 and 6, which are the two, really, you know, the vast majority of standards move to either 4 or 6 at some point. It's got a nice tritone relationship in there. Gotta love tritones. And it definitely affords the opportunity. There's space inside of the changes to add a little bit of harmonic interest with some extra changes. So for instance, let me play it in F. All right, so you got 1, 6, dominant 2. So here, there's enough space if you want to like add a 2-5 a half step above. And then you're at 4. There's the 7. Back to 1. Tritone sub, dominant 2, sharp 11. And anytime you have a 2-5 that takes up a bar a piece, you can double that up. Tritone sub. You can add a 1, 6, 2, 5 here. Sorry. Yeah, so that's a really great tune. I'm obviously going through this really quickly. I think I'll probably label this as maybe targeted at advanced improvisers. I don't want you to think, if you're watching this and you're not at that point yet where the speed that I'm presenting this information is comfortable yet, don't worry. You know, in some of my other videos, I go much slower, and it's not a prerequisite to have all of this information to jump in, but I did want to kind of go through this fairly quickly. So, yeah, I don't even know. Let's see. What do we do? A flat, C, F sharp, F. Yeah, key. How about E flat one more time? So remember, we're going to be thinking about 1, 6, 2, 5, 1s. 3, 6, 2, 5, 1s, movement to 4 and 6, tritone bridges, and opportunity for adding increased harmonic complexity, mainly with tritone subs and adding 2 5s up a half step. So what did I say? E flat. So there's 1. I'll talk through it. I'll go a little bit slower this time. Here's 1, 6, tritone sub, dominant 2, sharp 11, 2, 5, 1. Now here the 1 is going to become 5/4, so I'm just going to add a 2. There's 4, flat 7, back to 1, 6, dominant 2, sharp 11, up a half step, then 2 5. Okay, that's the second half of the tune. Minor 2 5 to 6, tritone sub, minor 6, throw a 5 in front of that. Here's the tritone, diminished, and then 3 6 2 5 1. Okay, might be a little sloppy. I'll give you a nice recipe for a little after dinner cocktail. You take a little bit of whiskey, like half a finger, less than a full finger, and then add some, I'm using lime, watermelon, sparkling water. So yeah, just a little bit of the whiskey, a couple of ice cubes, and then fill the rest of the glass up with sparkling water mixed together. It's really tasty. But it's definitely enough to make your technique just a little bit more sloppy. So, one thing you have to be I have to be careful of, this might apply as you increase your, flexibility with these different keys, is that when you start practicing, it's cool because you can kind of enter a key without knowing really where your tonic is, if you're able to internalize that movement and the relationship between the root movement of the chords. So you really don't need to know what key you're playing in as long as you understand the linear progression and where you're going. The downside of that is sometimes you can start playing and you don't really know what key you're in. Maybe that's not a downside, because eventually you'll arrive at tonic. So yeah, I just kind of started playing there. I really wasn't even thinking about what key I was going to be in. And another exercise is you can kind of start anywhere inside of it. And if you're, if you're working with a student or a friend, or you're working with this with a teacher, you can kind of turn it into a little bit of almost like a game. They can say, okay, well, I don't even know, C7 sharp 11. Right, so let's say that's your dominant 2 sharp 11. So if you want to start there, that means when it turns into a regular 2-5, the key that you're in is B flat. You go to 4. There's that dominant 2 sharp 11 again. And then you can maybe play around with 2-5ing to a random key that you don't really think of ahead of time. Once you arrive at a tonic, just go for the next minor chord that enters your consciousness at that moment, whatever it happens to be. And then see if you can go through and continue the tune in whatever key you happen to end up. So it's kind of a nice, it's a little bit of like a puzzle sometimes. So, my recommendation, not to get too off topic here. So obviously this is assuming you have grounding inside of circle movement. So start with practicing 1-6-2-5s, 3-6-2-5s, 5-1, all of that kind of standard bebop change material. And then go for a tune like Donna Lee that has really classic, definitive changes and movement towards standard key areas. This one being specifically both 4 and 6. And if you can do Donna Lee, the changes at least, playing the melody obviously in 12 keys is also really fun and extremely rewarding. That's a kind of a different topic. But if you can get through the changes at least in 12 keys without scuffling too much, I mean, obviously I was scuffling a little bit at times, I think you're going to be well on your way to being comfortable really doing any tune in any key, because it all kind of boils down to the same thing. Awareness of where you are in the form, where you're going, and the relationship between the roots. Hope this helps, and we'll see you in the next one. All right, thanks. Bye.